Hello FCM, my name is Dr. Donald Gridiron III. I'm graduating from veterinary school from Oregon State University. After graduation, I plan to move to Portland and start at a small animal practice up there being a veterinarian. I'd like to thank my family and my friends, all my classmates, my entire church family for supporting me through my journey and the continued support through the rest of my journey as a practicing veterinarian. First, I want to thank the graduation committee for putting together this event for all the graduates. It has been a very abnormal year for students, and it's nice that we are still being celebrated. Secondly, I want to thank Pastor and the First Lady for allowing me to speak today. The past 4 years away at veterinary school, I have been on a transformative journey both mentally and physically. Mental health and well-being has become a crucial passion of mine within the last 2 years. In this speech, I hope to give you some perspective of my journey to and through veterinary medicine and my understanding of the importance of mental health. One of the hardest parts about graduating is feeling that pressure to have a plan. There's an expectation, either from outside people or yourself, to have it all figured out. Graduation is a time of celebration, but it is also a source of a great deal of stress for many people. I too faced this stress after graduating high school and undergrad. Most people assume that I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, but nothing could be more untrue. I want to shatter the illusion that I've always had a plan and I've always known my goals. I have always wanted to work with animals, but I never had the desire to become a doctor. My original dream was to host a television show that educated people about animals. When I was probably about 12 or so, I said I wanted to be a zoo vet because I felt that was the best way to work with wild animals. That idea kind of stuck and developed into this stigma that I couldn't really break, and I was tagged with this label as the future doctor. During undergrad, I considered changing career paths, but I was discouraged each time. My major was primarily focused on preparing students for vet school. I never joined any clubs because everyone felt so sure about their future and I didn't. It was annoying to be around, and I honestly began to loathe vet med at this point. During my senior year, I disclosed to my mom that I didn't and never wanted to be a vet. She was very supportive and kept my secret. I began making plans to attend a school that specialized in training zookeepers. Unfortunately, life got in the way and I had to graduate undergrad as soon as possible, and I was left with a degree in a career field I wanted nothing to do with. I had minimal work experience and was only really qualified to work as a veterinary assistant. I started work in early 2015 and immediately began looking for other ways to use my degree. I finally built up the courage to tell people I didn't want to go to vet school, but I was still having no luck finding other opportunities. After a year and a half of being in the vet hospital, I realized I never once complained about going to work. In fact, I actually loved my job. I love being able to educate people about animal care and welfare, and teaching people about animals had always been my dream. I ended up applying to vet school that year and started at Oregon State in the fall of 2017. My time in vet school has been marked by both the depths and the pinnacle of my self-image and mental health. My second year, I struggled with thoughts of suicide and severe anxiety. For months, I was nauseous to the point where talking made me want to vomit. I was really in a horrible place mentally. At a truly desperate point in my life, I came across a therapist who introduced me to the idea of self-compassion. Briefly summarized, self-compassion is the idea that we have value as people despite our mistakes. We are deserving of love and care despite our faults, and most importantly, we deserve to love and care for ourselves. Self-compassion helped me understand how cruel and hard I was on myself. I learned I had operated under the mentality of contingent self-worth. Contingent self-worth is the idea that your value is based on your ability to succeed. This mindset feeds on the wins but punishes you for the losses. This and this alone is the basis for your happiness. Someone operating under contingent self-worth has two options. One, to distort your perception of the world so that you only see your successes and minimize your failures. A very cliche example of this is an athlete who focuses only on sports but downplays the importance of math because it's an area where they struggle. The second option is to run away from any chance of failure. If you don't try, you can't fail. In reality, most people are a mix of the two outcomes. Regardless, both are limiting to your growth as a person. I learned that my decision to stay in vet med during undergrad, even though I didn't want to, was rooted in fear. I was afraid that I would be letting people down. Some of you might remember that I took a long time to learn to drive. There were a lot of other things I learned in my life that I had rooted in fear, and I didn't try because I was afraid to mess up. There have always been high expectations on my life. I felt like I wasn't allowed to have a regular job. In fact, most of my youth, I felt like I wasn't allowed to be a regular person. I attribute this feeling with the reason why I was unable to express my desire to become a zookeeper. I felt people would judge me for wanting what society considers a menial job. While some of this was inferred pressure that I had assumed was on me, some of it was actually verbalized to me. I was told by a school counselor that I couldn't be a veterinary nurse because they don't make enough money. I was told by another college advisor that my GPA was too good to waste by not going to vet school. I internalized that outward pressure and boxed myself in as a person. I ignored my personality and my desires to protect my potential. I didn't allow myself to live because I was constantly preparing for the future. Through therapy, I learned that this was the root of my dissatisfaction with myself. The tattoos, the hair, the piercings, none of this is a phase. This is what I've wanted to be, but I've always told myself I wasn't allowed to be. Self-compassion helped me understand that I am allowed to be a person outside of my career. Self-compassion is a tool that allows us to quiet the self-critic that lies within all of us and promote greater acceptance of ourselves. As Christians, we believe that God loves us despite our mistakes, but we rarely extend that same love and forgiveness to ourselves. While I don't have time to share everything about self-compassion right now, I did write my senior paper on the topic, and I'm glad to share that and other resources with anyone who is interested more on the topic. I spent years wanting to work with zoo animals, and I did absolutely nothing about it. I was too afraid to try. Please don't be like me. If you have a passion, go out and try it. Go shadow, go find a mentor, go do an externship. We usually talk about how the experience has value as a resume builder and a networking tool. While those are very valid benefits of field experience, the most important and overlooked aspect is it gives you the chance to find out if it's something that you want to do. The more experience and the bigger the sample size you have, the more you can understand if this is the right decision for you. During vet school, I was given the opportunity to spend 4 weeks with a zoo vet, and honestly, it was quite boring. The journey to become a zoo vet is borderline unreasonable. The caseload is low. It's more observational than hands-on, and when you are working with an animal, they're usually unconscious. My ideas of what a zoo vet were and did were completely wrong. I remember when I was about 16, my mom suggested that I work for the vet company that we took my dog to. I scoffed and I told her that dogs and cats were boring. Now, not only do I love working with dogs and cats more than wildlife, I also have spent this last 6 years working for the company she suggested, and I'm signed on to be a doctor with them in August. You'll be surprised by how many people enter vet school based on the idea of the job, but grow to hate the field within years of graduation. Thankfully, I had real-life experience that led me to choose veterinary medicine. It wasn't luck, it wasn't destiny, it wasn't pressure to meet an expectation. It was 100% my choice, and I haven't regretted it. You deserve the right to know if you like a career field. You deserve the right to change your mind. In closing, don't be afraid to do something and change your mind. Don't be afraid to fail. This is for everyone listening. It's never too late to pursue your passion. Your passion doesn't even have to be a career or make you any money. You may find that making your passion a job takes the joy out of it. I recently learned that the word amateur comes from the word amor, which means to love. In society, we use the word amateur to describe someone who isn't skilled, but the word actually means someone who does something for the love of doing it. So go out and find what you love to do. I want to thank everyone for listening to my virtual speech. As I record this, I am a doctor, so it's kind of cool that I got to record it after graduation. But I do want to thank everyone who was part of my support system and continues to be part of my support system. You guys made a big difference through my years in veterinary school. Made things a lot easier, especially when I was going through mental hardships. A lot of people don't know, but veterinarians have the highest suicide rate of any profession, so mental health is something that's really big on in our career field and something that's really important to me, and it's something that I'm going to continue to work on. something that we all need to continue to work on and build. So I still need that support system even though I'm done with school. Congratulations to all the graduates. Go enjoy your summers, and I hope you guys find what you love to do.